All right, the Trap House podcast continues. Do us a little favor. Share, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It goes a long way. And thank you to all the sponsors. But today we got a lot to talk about.
Right. So, and that is if you're watching on YouTube. Obviously, I guess on the other one formats you can't do that.
Yeah, you could share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can share it. You can't subscribe on Spotify, I guess. But we have the big rendezvous coming up September 30th here at Hoosier Trapper Supply.
That's in a week.
Yeah, it flew up quick. We're kind of late getting the schedule out, but we're going to talk about that today. And it's hard to believe, too, that we've been hosting that here at the shop since
I think it's
2005, I believe.
It's the 18th or 19th year, or 18th year, I think, depending on how it falls, I believe. So,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
He's checking over the schedule. We'll explain everything that's going to be happening that day. We also have some questions that people always ask us or send in through email, mainly about dirt hole sets. We'll get to that too. So, yeah, we can't go wrong talking about trapping.
Yep. So I was just counting up. I believe on the 30th there will be 10 actual demos, and some of them do overlap. We got to always have a good full day of demos, and everything from coyote trapping to water trapping. We've got Dutch oven cooking with Jim Mahoney, and I believe this will be his last year doing that. So that's kind of a
You don't want to miss it.
yeah, that's kind of a special one. Then we'll have and Jake Webster, who has done it the past couple years. We're going to do it again. It's kind of a popular demo. He does flint knapping, and he is quite the artisan when it comes to flint knapping, arrowheads, that type of thing, knives.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting demo, and he makes it look incredibly easy. So
And we got some fur handling too.
right, yep.
So.
Yep. So Dennis Cobb will be back with that. We've got Megan Lockwood coming from Ohio.
Yep. It's a new name this year for this rendezvous.
She's been involved with the National Trappers she-sided trapping demos for the past couple of years. So she's and runs a nuisance business herself.
Yep.
So
she does a great job.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm glad to have her here. We've got AJ Arvin will kick things off in the morning with a 9 o'clock with the coyote demo. Then we've got Megan at 10:30 on water trapping. She's going to, I think, primarily talk about muskrats. Got Jim Tate from Michigan. He's going to talk about something related to predator trapping. We're going to let him go from there. That's kind of generic. We have at 1:30, we've got Stu Miller from Coon Creek Outdoors, the largest trapping YouTube channel there is.
Yes.
So he was here last year, and I mean, he's definitely a kind of a very knowledgeable, well-known celebrity type trapper. So so we're glad to have him. And then we'll have some more fur handling. And then, as I mentioned, Jake Webster. We've got Tom Morlock, and he's going to do a water trapping. And then
This one's cool.
in the afternoon, so all of us, everyone that's did a demo, and then Justin and I we're not doing a specific demo, but we'll be involved in this one. So we're going to get all of the demo people and a couple extras, I guess, and we're going to do like a 5-minute tip. So we're all going to share roughly a 5-minute tip of something that we think that everybody can benefit from. So that's something new. We've tried some things over the years, kind of along that line, but this will be more set up. So
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I like that because everyone, getting a group of people together, you can really make some progress as far as figuring things out, bouncing ideas off each other, and who's did this, who's tried that, and it's just good to hear from someone that has done something a lot more than you before you attempt it yourself. So,
right. And if everybody watching, if there are questions or whatever, and that really helps bring out more information. And you are asking the question that the person next to you is too shy to ask a
Right.
lot of times. So,
There's no dumb questions. There might be
excuse
dumb
me.
answers, but there's no dumb questions.
Just watch YouTube.
I might put that on a T-shirt. I just came up with that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, no dumb questions, just dumb answers.
Oh man.
So you want to talk about the non-demo stuff?
Yeah. Everyone loves coffee and donuts the first thing in the morning before the demo starts. So
Yep.
get you all caffeinated and fired up for the day. We got stuff for the youngsters. Of course, we got some kids' games early. I always try and I head up to Calcutta later in the day, but we try and give them some candy and let them have some fun. Give them some space to run around, toss the ball, maybe jump in the straw and do what do they call that old-fashioned
I don't know. Free for all.
free for all? Hide some stuff in the straw, and the kids love who can find it first. I don't know what you even call it, but yep, something for the kids. You mentioned the Dutch oven cooking, which is delicious, limited supply, so make sure you sneak over there and get some of that. Then lunch, pulled pork, rendezvous stew. Just like Charlie said, it's the last year that Jim will be heading up the stew. We're going to keep the stew going. It's going to be obviously tradition with this event. So definitely you want to get in line for that.
For those of you that haven't been here, we cook a big pot of stew over a fire.
Yeah, how many gallons is that?
It's a bunch, probably
It's-
30 gallons, probably.
It's a monster pot.
So, and Jim Mahoney he did that just to give you an idea how long. Now, 7B had kind of going into dormancy prior to 2005 for a number of years, but he had done that when I was in high school. He was involved. So, I mean, that's a long time. Jim's been doing that. So, anyways, looking forward to that, and obviously it's a little emotional for him to kind of call it quits too, I think. So, anyways.
Yeah. And we've been doing music. If you haven't been here the past couple of years or pre-COVID, I think is 2019 when we started music.
2019 was Sierra. We had some
Okay.
on prior to that. We had a little bit, but she
Okay,
was kind of the kick.
Well, now we've been having some lunchtime entertainment. Some of you know and some of you don't. I run a separate podcast about music called the Coyote Radio Show. Wonder where that name came from. But I've met a lot of good artists and musicians through that. And one that happens to be a trapper himself will be here, named Tyler Hood. He's all over. You can watch his stuff on YouTube and all that. Great guy. He's a Hoosier. He's coming up. Performed for about 45 minutes for us. And he's great. He's like a folky singer. Great writer. Kind of like, sometimes I get a touch of like Bob Dylan coming out of him. Like,
Oh yeah,
I think so.
cool.
But he'll be great to check out.
So, and you never know who Justin's going to line up. So,
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. Like you said, the first year, Sierra Farrell, some of you might know that name. If you don't, you probably definitely should at this point, because she's blown up since. She's played Red Rocks, Bonnaroo, Grand Ole Opry. A couple days ago, she was opening for Dave Matthews Band all over the country, all over the world, overseas.
yeah.
And I keep telling her she's either going to win Female Vocalist of the Year or she's going to get a Grammy at some point. If she keeps going like she's going, I think she'll do it.
And she was going prior to 2019, but she was just gaining some notoriety, and Justin had her here, and so you, like I said, you never know who Justin's gonna be able to line up to be out here and perform for us, and where they're going to go in the future. So
Yep.
pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah. And shout out to Jason Day West that did last year for us for a very minimal fee. He's basically donating to the organization, so that was nice of him to
Yeah.
do
And
it super cheap for the friend deal, which we appreciate it.
Yep. If you haven't seen him, check him out as well on YouTube. Jason Day West, DEA West.
Yep. Very entertaining artist. What else we got? Right after all that, we're going to do a fur market report. Everyone likes to, hear about that.
That'll be the only downer of the day.
You got to find some highlights in there
They're,
somewhere.
well, the beaver market's really good.
That's what I was gonna say. I hope the beaver market still stays, hopping.
Yep. So, there's probably overall there is some things looking up. So, then we'll have Jerry Ann Albers, the Indiana fur bear biologist, catch everybody up to date.
Yeah, a lot of questions, and she'll be here majority of the day, right?
She has to leave at 1
Okay.
because of a commitment. So she will be here probably roughly from 8:30 or 9 till 1.
Okay.
So,
Yep. She usually sits here with a table, and feel free to ask her whatever questions you have. She gets a lot about the when are we getting a bobcat season sort of thing, and all the different stuff that she might know, or she's definitely going to tell you where to find the correct information. So
yeah.
check her booth out.
And she will give a talk.
Yeah, she'll do a little talk too. What else we got on here? Flint napping, what you said, non-trapping.
You can go talk about the Trapper's Calcutta.
Yep, the Calcutta, like I said, towards the end of the day, this is a lot of fun. The kids get involved. We got separate age groups, and I run them through a little course here. Make them do all kinds of silly stuff, basically to wear them out so they'll go to bed for you when they get home.
But we actually have an over 18. Do you
we
still
do?
do that? Still do that 18 and over?
No one's really signed up for it anymore in a few years. I think that people are getting embarrassed, I guess.
So those of you 18 and over, you can still compete. So
Yep. You gonna do it?
no,
Well, someone's got to start to kick it off.
I guess I could.
Then just before the auction, if you didn't get enough for lunch, we're gonna have some hot dogs on the grill and some dessert available there. There's a little fundraiser involved in that, especially on the dessert. What are we gonna do for dessert this year?
I'm not sure. We did strawberry shortcake, and then last year I think we did brownie sundaes.
Oh man,
So
the
it'll be
shortcakes were. It's always a big hit because everyone starts to get that sweet tooth that time of day.
Yep. So that either one of those, or we'll do something like that. So that's $5, and that's the only actually the hot dogs and the dessert are the only thing we're specifically charging for that's food related. Lunch, which is a big lunch, and the coffee and donuts is all based on free will donation. So it's not, and that money goes obviously to help cover costs, and then also to whatever's left over goes to the Association for Takers of America. So.
And pretty much round it all off there at the end with the auction. So if you have something that laying around in your trapping shed that you think somebody else could use, bring it to the auction. Somebody, it's a way to help someone out and also help the organization out as well. So keep that in mind. But that's at 4:45. Of course, throughout the day, there's tailgaters everywhere. Who knows what you can find on the tailgates.
Right.
What else is out there? Everything's free, like you said, except for some donation stuff there for the food, free parking. Everything's on site. And of course, the shop will be open here.
Yep.
So
yeah, and we're just knock on wood. In all these years, we've never had a rain out. So.
Oh, Charlie, why'd you say that?
So
this is plastic. Hit the wooden basket there.
So yeah, it's yeah, you never know. But even if it does, we'll have tents up and whatever. So we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, I'm fired up.
So and for those of you that haven't been here before, Joe Goodman from Ohio, very well known artist, particularly in this genre of trapping and mountain men and fur related. He will be here set up. So the only way he won't be here is if there's a hurricane going on. So
yeah, you don't want his prints flying around.
Right,
Yep.
right. So, so yeah, he started coming over and he enjoys being here, and so yeah, so he'll be here.
Cool. Any other highlights you can think of?
I don't think so, right offhand. Just come and have a good time. It's completely different feel than any other trapping event for sure. It's probably one of the largest single trapping events in the country. And I realize a lot of you that are listening to this right now, we're going to switch over to some questions, but a lot of you listening to this, geographically just won't be able to get here. So, maybe someday you can.
We've had guys from all over the country at some point. Yeah.
New York State, Minnesota.
From Alabama, New Mexico.
So, yeah. I mean, definitely some people that do some driving to come.
Yeah.
All the bordering states to Indiana are very commonly here.
Virginia.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good time.
yeah. A lot of people when they come, they just like, I won't miss it in the future. Obviously a year out, you might miss it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when they leave here, they've had a good enough time that there's like, I will be back. So,
Just always know this. It's always the last Saturday of September.
right.
And that
However,
changes,
right.
This year we had an extra week in the month of September, so it's all the way on the 30th.
Right. Right. Last
So-
year was the 24th. It'll be on the 30th this year, and I looked at the calendar, and I believe it's on the 28th next year. So we'll just start
Okay.
counting backwards. We skip, it might be leap year or something, but anyways, we skip a day. But so anyways, it'll be on the 28th in 2025. So
Cool.
want to get to some questions?
Yeah. I didn't see what's even been sent in yet. The old dirt hole.
So here's some specific questions about dirt holes. So depth of trap as far as in relation to the grade of the ground, and maybe how much cover. So that one right there is kind of an open-ended question. I guess typically I try to have the trap slightly below the grade of the ground. Other trappers would disagree with that and have it level. The only thing that I would not recommend is that you have it above where you got like a hump.
Yeah.
I would avoid that. So level or below, a slightly below. Now the deeper you get, the more issues you're going to have with water filling up your trap bed if you have a lot of moisture. So if you're having that, then I would bring it up to level. So, if you have a lot of rain, then you may want to consider a flat set and not even have to deal with the dirt hole. But,
Yeah. And pick a high spot in the field that you're working out of.
So we're going to get to the next question in relation to this, different forms of slight guiding. And coyotes typically don't like to be really heavily guided into the trap. So the slight, where the trap is slightly below the grade of the ground, I think actually helps guide them in subconsciously probably. They're just putting their foot down. So I do think that's probably my thinking on that. If you want to guide, maybe just some dirt clods, where you dug your trap bed up and maybe you got some dirt clods, that would probably be the most subtle way to guide. You can put
Dirt clods over rocks. Keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, rocks will
possible.
end up in your trap.
Yep. They get stuck between the jaws and the levers and stuff. And that leaves just enough space for whatever animal to pull out of the jaws if it gets hung up.
You can try, some people take small sticks and actually put them in the ground like this, where it might just be a quarter of an inch or so above the surface of the ground and just kind of guide like that. That would represent basically a stubble field. So that would, that'll work too. Just be a little careful with that. Now, if you're talking bobcats, you can guide them and you can make them put their foot right where you want them to. You can do very heavy guiding, but coyotes, not so much.
Right. Yeah, I do a little bit from time to time. I keep it very basic though.
And of course, we've had sets where we're actually bobcat trapping that we have heavily guided and we'll catch a coyote. I mean, there are exceptions to everything and none of this is written in stone, but generally speaking, coyotes don't typically like to be heavily guided. So
No. But I'll tell you why why they do that? Why they'll commit to the ugliest looking thorn bush thing they even walk through?
what is that?
Because they're after that top dog bait.
That's right.
Gotta have good bait when you're trapping.
That's right. And we're going to get to that here in a second. So,
Oh, is that one of the questions?
well, trap placement.
Okay.
So the next one is, how deep do you make your dirt hole? Can you make it too deep? Oh, yeah, we'll do that with trap placement.
Okay. Dirt hole too deep? No.
I mean, within reason, I guess you could.
Well, yeah.
But, if it's 4 foot down, there's no, I've seen guys that actually use those little portable augers, which makes it easier, but you don't need to go down 2 foot. 10, 12, 14 inches is fine. I mean, if you can get it down there, that's better than a 3-inch hole
Yeah.
for sure.
Anything that they can't, you know, just picture the snout of a coyote trying to get in the hole, or even if he's got his paw in there to try and pull. If it's out of reach and it's smelling good, he's going to work that set heavy.
Right.
And he's going to step in that right spot for you. But, you know, if you got a 2-inch dirt hole or 3-inch something like this, I mean, that's easy pickings. He's out.
Right.
Got the prize and gone.
I guess while we're talking about that, we're talking about angle of the hole too. So, I mean, it used to always see, and I've said it too, like a 45 like this, essentially. But a lot of us have really gone more, maybe slightly, I don't know what that is, but not that much of an angle. We don't want to, and some guys will actually do fairly straight up and down. It's just a slight angle to it to hopefully have them on the side where the trap is so they can see down the hole. But as far as that 45, it's probably not that big of a deal, particularly if it's deep enough. But the idea of the 45 is they can see back down in the hole further back. Probably splitting hairs there.
And that would also determine the depth of the hole too.
Right. If the hole's deep enough, the 45 is
doesn't matter.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So don't get too hung up on that.
Yeah. The only thing to consider is if you're going more of the up and down or slightly, if they work it from the back end, depending on what your backing is on your set.
Right. Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
So we're gonna do the next two kind of combined. So trap placement in regard to the hole, and tracks around your set without hitting the pan. So a lot of you know that I'm an advocate for the trap being on the hole. None of the 9 inches back and 3 inches over. I feel like the trap needs to be on the hole. And if your attractant is good enough, then they'll work the hole. If you have a non-committal, which some nights there's something with barometric pressure, I don't know what it is specifically, but there are nights where animals are very tentative about working a set, and it'll be fairly consistent. It won't be just one animal. So there's not really nothing you can do about that per se. So because you don't know what night is going to happen, etc. And the next night or two will make up for that. So the animal doesn't just come into the set like you would think he would, like textbook. So they're working from the sides. You don't know what side he's coming in. If you've seen the videos, a lot of times they'll leave the set area and they'll come back. They know what's going on. They know there's something there they're interested in, but it seems kind of random too.
Right.
So you want to guard that hole, guard that attractant with your trap. As far as the dog itself, it could be like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, something like that. I wouldn't get too hung up on that either. I just wouldn't have it at 6 o'clock. So just the dog of the trap should be basically facing the hole or just slightly to the right or left of it. And as far as offsetting the trap, I used to kind of do that, and I've kind of changed my perspective. I'm pretty much just right on the hole.
Yep. And I've said this before, Charlie working at the Trappers College and teaching up there, and I went up there and, did some media for fur takers. Every instructor has years of knowledge and been in the field doing this stuff, and they're from all over different parts of the country, and 99% of them all hug the hole.
Right.
And, these guys catch a lot of fur, so I'm going that way. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
So I think in the long run, you're way better off. So.
Right. So, and I've said it many times, if you have tracks at your set, and they're just like not committing, that happens. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
To speak of. So if your trap was back from the hole and you had tracks between the trap and the hole, that really would bother me. So I don't want to see that. That's why my trap is up on the hole.
Yeah.
Because if those tracks are between the trap and the hole, then you know that your trap was kind of, in a way, randomly placed.
Just like floating out there.
Yeah.
Hoping to get lucky.
Yeah. So, And that means
Yep.
he was wanting what was in the hole, and he very well may have dug it, been actively
Yeah.
at it, and your trap just wasn't placed properly. So,
Yeah, regardless if your trap's up close to the hole or back, there will be some, you know, tracks around your set from time to time, no matter which method you do. But I guarantee you it's going to be a lot worse if you have the space between. You'll have way more
right,
dancing around in between your trap and the hole.
right.
Not just drive you crazy.
Yeah. So I think there's two basic things with dirt holes that get your trap bedded firmly down so that it's not too doesn't wobble if they step on the jaw, and get that trap up on the hole, guard the hole. As far as cover on the trap, I've always been pretty much an advocate of light cover. Obviously, you want the trap concealed, and you don't want, like, if you had a light rain, you don't want your pan cover exposed. So you might need half inch of cover, or roughly, or even slightly less. Some guys put more than that. One guy explained one time, I heard it said for every half inch or inch of cover you put on the cover onto your trap, you're losing that jaw spread. So, in other words, if your traps is an MB550 at a 5.5 inch jaw spread, and you put a half inch of cover on there, you're down to a 5 inch jaw spread. And I think if you think about that, there is definitely some merit to what he said, because the foot's up higher.
That one's interesting.
Yeah. So think about that, and
I'll have to
I think
think
there
about
is
the
some truth
physics
to
on
that.
that.
Yeah. So that actually makes some sense.
Yeah, because the foot, say if the pan's here and there's a layer of dirt, it's not like he's touching here. He's actually firing it from up here.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, for those, and I've seen guys, if you're using really big traps and big jaw spreads, which, some Western guys may do that, then, obviously you can go to heavier cover. But that half inch or less, I think, is better. I've used to say, if you sneezed on your set, it would uncover your trap. And that light cover is fine. It's just weather may cause you issues with going super light. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't go super light, but definitely don't go heavy.
right.
All right, what else we got?
All right. Will terrain dictate trap placement? So, kind of. So if you're on a slight grade, like on the edge of a road, sometimes it's graded with a little bit of an angle, or your side of a hill, or a slight hill, or whatever, where it rises. Your trap probably is going to be back a little bit further. In that instance, it's not going to be necessarily right on the hole, and that one is one exception on trap placement.
Yeah, the only time I've really noticed that is, say you're in the middle of making a set, and then you start digging out the bed, and you realize, oh, there's big old root wad or a rock or boulder or something in the way, and just move it over or back a little bit just to go ahead and finish up the set. Might not be ideal, but it's you make it work. And sometimes you can use that stuff to your advantage as far as bedding your trap. Resting a lever or a jaw on a root that's coming across or something to help stabilize it. Things like that. You could use it to your benefit.
Right. The one thing, as far as that, the cover on the trap, how much cover you put on the trap, and I used to always say, well, if you sneezed, it would blow the cover off the trap. So I'm always been kind of an advocate of a light cover. Maybe that might be a little bit too light, because if you had some weather issues, light rain, whatever, then you may expose your pan cover, which is just basically going to result in curiosity, and again, paw at your pan cover. So a half inch of cover or whatever is a good amount, half inch or less. There was a guy that had told me several years ago, a good trapper, said basically for every half inch or inch of cover that you put on top of a trap, you lose a half inch or an inch of jaw spread. So if you think about that, here's your trap, and it's say you got an MB 550 with a 5.5 inch jaw spread, and you put an inch of cover on there, then that foot's raised up here, so the foot is going to push down on the pan to get it to fire, but that dirt's still there. So it is definitely affecting your jaw spread when you put so much cover on there. The trap's still going to function, generally speaking, unless you just
Right.
get crazy.
Bury it.
Yeah, but yeah. So you do want to be careful with a lot of cover on your set.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, you can play around with it.
Especially if you like, smaller size traps. That
Right.
we
Right.
like them 550, like you mentioned there. Some people consider that too small for what they like to use on the line. We know guys that use 450,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they do just fine. So, yeah, it's definitely something to consider when you're out there and keep in mind.
And then playing the wind.
Playing the wind, very smart thing to do when you can, but I wouldn't lose sleep on it if the situation's not right. You want to be on location. You want to hit them right in the nose with whatever you got. Usually walk them right in your set if you can, depending on what kind of setup it is. But if they can't walk into it, sometimes the wind will draw them to it.
Right.
So
Right.
it's good to keep in mind.
Right. And normally if it's good for one trap, it's good for two. So normally if you've seen us, if you're setting a 2-track or a Forest Service road or some sort of trail, we'll normally have a set on both sides. So that way we're covered in that respect. And a lot of times coyotes are just walking down that 2-track, and it's not even in their frame of mind they got something else on their mind, and they're trying to get from here to there, and they're not even thinking about it. So those are, that kind of explains why there's tracks, and they may not even turn and look at your set. So you can, at times, I think the trailing sense like Predator Gravy helps, where you just literally go from one side of the 2-track across to the other set, and it, maybe stop them in their tracks when they're traveling down that road, and then come and check your set out. So that's something that you can use to help compensate for that. And the wind will change a lot, and the wind during the day, a lot of times it will die down at night. Sometimes it's just windy all night. When it's super windy all night, it's not that, you're not really
not good
playing.
anyway.
Yeah, you're not playing the wind anyways because it's so diluted. So most of us do have a prevailing west wind, but it does change a lot, and a lot of nights it's just not that windy. So
Right.
I wouldn't get too hung up on that, but like Justin said, play it when you can. So
Yeah. Are we doing more?
I think we'll stop there for now. We've got all these to get to too, so that'll be for a future podcast too.
The questions keep rolling in, and keep sending them. It's definitely good to talk these out, and sometimes I learned something from Charlie. Imagine that.
So if you, keep those questions coming. You can put them in the comments below on YouTube, or you can email them in. I realize that some of you are going to listen to this on another platform, but so you could email your questions to us. And
There's Facebook too. We're not as good at getting on there and respond. There's stuff coming in from all directions. So
right, so
we're more active on through email or probably YouTube.
bear with us
comments.
as far as getting to you, but so.
Yep.
But yeah, keep those questions coming, and we'll do the best we can to get them answered.
Yeah. There's still a little time left. We'll see you at the rendezvous. So start, figuring that out. You got a week to get here.
Yeah. See you Saturday.
Yep.